This conference will now be recorded.
I don't see the.
Okay. Good evening. I'm going to call to order the regularly scheduled trustees meeting, Copley Township Board of Trustees meeting on January 12th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance if you're able. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to acknowledge everyone that's here to our, along with our guests online. It looks like we have Mr. Boley from Summit County Engineer's Office. We have Trustee Schulte joining virtually. In person here, we have Ms. Pfeiffer, the Fiscal Officer, Trustee Dressler, Ms. Marshall, our Township Administrator, and we have the department heads, Chief Meyer, Chief Bauer, Mr. Klein, and Mr. Mitchell. I don't think we missed anything. Is that correct? Okay. Well, along with that, I would like to make mention that this is Mr. Dressler, Trustee Dressler's mother's 90th birthday. And I would like to get that on the minutes of the meeting as well and wish her a happy 90th birthday.
She's way older than I am.
Yes, we're not exactly sure what happened with Mr. Dressler, but Mrs. Dressler is a very nice lady who's done very much, a lot of things for the community. And we wish her a very happy birthday. With that, is there anything from the Board of Trustees?
I don't have anything.
Mr. Schulte, anything from you?
No, sir. Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you.
Then we'll move on to Ms. Pfeiffer.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. First, I'm going to motion to approve the Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes of November 24th.
So move.
Second.
Any additions or corrections or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
I vote yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. Next is a motion to approve the Board of Trustees special meeting minutes of December 7th, 2020.
So moved.
I'll second for discussion or additions or corrections. Is that the one that you emailed to us at noon today?
No,
Okay, that's one we reviewed already. Okay, thank you.
that was another one. And, okay, you done? You ready to go on?
We didn't vote yet.
We did not vote yet, so hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
I vote yes.
Colner, yes.
Thank you.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. The next one's been put on hold. It's the December 9th meeting. It was a meeting between the environmental group and Copley trustees. There was a transcript that I prepared, but quite lengthy. I prepared a shorter version of it, and Trustee Colner has not reviewed it yet, so we'll hold that one. And the December 28th meeting, special meeting, is also on hold for this one.
Okay.
Okay, what's not on the agenda is approval of the November financial statements pending audit. This is the November financial statement.
Anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
I'll second for discussion. Ms. Pfeiffer, you call for approval, and just to reiterate, we don't approve, we just acknowledge receipt of.
Okay, well, pending audit.
Okay.
I wrote it wrong.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Motions to acknowledge receipt of.
And I'll second to acknowledge receipt of the November financials.
I vote yes.
Colner, yes?
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. Next is a motion to, I want to say approve, but acknowledge receipt pending audit of the December 2020 financial statement.
Very nice.
Schulte's laughing.
Mhm. Stand by one moment, please.
There's the beacon.
Okay.
I'll also move to acknowledge the December's statement, financial.
And I'll second for discussion. So,
I have not reviewed these in detail, Bruce and Scott, so I'd like to hold off on this if we may.
hold off on acknowledgement.
Exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah, there's, I suppose it's about the list of discrepancies. Is that accurate?
Yes, let's start with that. Yes.
Okay. So do you want to table it, or would you like to withdraw your motion?
We're just acknowledging receipt. We're not approving them.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with acknowledging receipt either.
You can make comments for the record.
Yeah, I would make some comments as well. The comments I would make is there's a list of discrepancies that was emailed to the fiscal office that have not been acknowledged or addressed. Do you want to address those here, Ms. Pfeiffer, or do you
Yeah,
want?
absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. Okay, let's go for the first one. Fund number 09001,
900.
correct. The culvert pipe deposits. There are two,
$250 ones
correct.
that were corrected.
Those were corrected?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. And it said in the, also that there, how was a correction made for the record?
I reallocated the monies.
To the correct fund number?
Mhm.
And what fund number is that?
It was 2031.
To 2031, okay. And then the road and bridge culvert deposits, okay, that's all of that
Culvert
question.
deposits is 9001.
Okay. Next is there's a fund number 2927 juvenile diversion grant at a balance of 30,797.48. Receiving grants from the works done from juveniles. We were going to move that from 2019.
Okay, if that is the list from your administrator, I have not done that list yet.
Okay.
I just transferred the first one.
Okay.
So I'm not gotten to these discrepancies.
Okay. So if you would, please, would you acknowledge this email and then send a response that it was corrected?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So there's still a vote or a motion on the table to acknowledge the receipt of the December financials.
Okay.
Any other comments, Mr. Schulte?
Yeah, I don't even want to acknowledge receipt until we see the revised financials and we have a chance to review them. It's the year end and I want to make sure they're right.
Okay. Well, then we can just-
Okay, I don't have an issue.
I vote no.
I'll vote no as well. Mr. Schulte, do you vote?
Are we voting no to not acknowledge receipt?
That is correct. That's
Yeah,
what
then
we,
I vote no. Yes, thank you.
okay. Okay. Ms. Pfeiffer?
Okay, next is a resolution to amend the 2021 temporary appropriations in fund number 2111, 760, 750 motor vehicles in the amount of 210,000, and to amend the 2021 certificate of estimated resources in the amount of 210,000.
Also move.
Second.
Discussion?
I have a clarification. If you're amending the appropriations, you don't amend the certificate. The certificate is for revenues. and the appropriations are expenses. So
Yeah.
you do not need to amend the certificate of estimated resources for 210,000. You're not receiving that money. You're expending it.
Okay. All right. Well, then we're just resolution to amend the 2021 temporary appropriations in fund number 2111, 760, 750, motor vehicles in the amount of 210,000.
Okay,
So move,
I'll second for discussion.
just for the squad.
Yes. So can you, Ms. Piper, can you explain to us why we need to amend appropriations?
Well, we need to, it was an oversight.
Okay,
Can still be corrected. It was just an oversight. I would like to make a suggestion. We pass resolutions at these meetings that none of them have numbers on. I need numbers. I've got UAN right here, and I can do these resolutions, put them into the system right away during the meeting. And I also would like to make a policy that the department heads turn in their requisitions within 2 days from the meeting. So this doesn't happen again.
so can you explain to us what happened this time? We voted on, I believe, December 7th
Yes. and
to
it was-
purchase an ambulance for the fire department in the
and I
amount of
take full
210.
Responsibility, it was not put in because it had no resolution number on it at the meeting. If it had have had a resolution number, I could have taken care of it. I've asked the administration to put resolution numbers on all of these agenda items, and they're still not showing up. I just want
And
to
the
be able to-
resolution numbers would rectify this issue?
Absolutely, because before I put them in when I put them in UAN, I have to have a resolution number. That ties the auditors back to the actual date it was passed.
Okay,
It's a requirement.
Well, we don't number them until they pass.
correct.
Then
So we would have to look at the previous
now,
ones then.
I
make
totally
sure.
disagree with that one. Trustee Helen Humphreys was here. She always numbered them, always numbered.
Right, but then they had to be changed.
Right, she did change a number of them because of that. We stopped doing it because she was anticipating the number in a
Well,
large number of times.
commonly, department heads will pull a request.
Right.
Like
Well,
this.
right now, we have 2 resolution numbers to 2 different amounts.
Okay, so let's take another look at this as well. If I'm not mistaken, in talking with Chief Bauer, the ambulance there is a blanket order issued for that, correct?
Yeah, the requisition was submitted, but it was approved on 12/31/2020. If this would have been approved, if I would have received this within 2 days after it passing, it would have triggered me to go ahead and get that money moved. But
So
it was
when
not.
when the person or when the department comes to you and asks for a blanket purchase or a blanket order or a purchase order, that doesn't trigger an event as well?
I don't
my
get it
que-
on
my-
on-base.
I'm sorry.
This is an on-base form.
Okay,
Okay, I get these from on-base to approve them.
I understand.
Okay, this was submitted 12/31/2020, and it was a 2021 requisition. If I would have gotten it in time, this would not have happened.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
When we have the resolutions passed in a meeting, I record the numbers. I make copies of them the following day and put copies in the fiscal officer mailbox the following day. It has nothing to do with the department heads getting them to the fiscal office within 2 days. It is put in her box the day after the meeting. So as far as triggering it, I don't know how it can be done any sooner.
So so
I would like the department heads to start putting their requisitions in 2 days after a resolution is passed. What's
Okay,
so hard about that?
nothing, ma'am. We're trying to work this out so this issue doesn't come. Let's switch here. There's already been a blanket order issued for this ambulance purchase.
Mhm.
However, you're asking us to amend the appropriations now for a $210,000 expenditure that's already happened.
But this is dated 1/1.
That's not my question. My question is, how can we appropriate or vote on a resolution to amend the temporary appropriations for a purchase that's already been made?
Because it's made in 2021. This
The
requisition.
temporary appropriations would have had already been adjusted to issue the
This
blanket
is going
PO.
in as a supplemental.
So, or I'll ask you the question directly. Did you already amend the temporary appropriations?
Yes, I did it this morning.
Do you know you cannot do that without prior board approval?
I know that. But I'm asking for the approval. It's still the same date.
No, ma'am, it's not. This approval was given on December 7th, 2020.
I take
Can
full
we
responsibility
agree
for
on
it.
going forward, what our procedure will be to
I
eliminate
want to
this issue?
resolve this issue. I want to resolve it once and for all.
Has this been an issue in the past?
No.
Okay, so there's
This is
only
just
one
the
issue we're
first one,
talking about then.
yes.
Okay.
I want to resolve it. I want resolution numbers on each resolution because I need them. And I can do them right now. We can solve the problem. We don't have to worry about department heads when they get their requisition in.
Could I ask for an explanation on what the reason is for kind of like a 48-hour window after approval? What problem does that solve?
Well, number one, in this case, it would have triggered that when I went in there and saw that there was no money in this account, I could have corrected it at that time.
Why would it need correction if we do the appropriation in December 7th? Why would the money not show up in that account
Because
sometime
I
thereafter?
have to put it in.
Oh, okay,
I have to put it in.
okay,
Bruce.
okay.
I'm trying to, there's a lack of communication here.
Okay. Well, the township administrator, do you have a suggestion on how we can rectify this issue? What would be the procedure you would suggest going forward?
Well, the resolutions, this resolution in particular did approve the purchase of an ambulance, and it also authorized the amendment to the permanent appropriations of 2020. So after that was approved and signed and the number was assigned, the copy was put in the fiscal office mailbox. There were a couple others on December 7th that were also put in the box that were not done. So I could possibly follow up a couple days later to make sure she received the copies.
What other issues from December 7th weren't done?
The establishment of the capital funds.
Resolution 156 and 157.
Yes, those also were not done. So maybe it was that one particular meeting that those resolutions weren't received in the office. I'd be happy to follow up the next day or so to make sure she's received them. I can make copies. I mean, some of those particular ones would not have had a requisition put with them. You know, there was no money being expended from those resolutions, so.
Right, that was just,
So there wouldn't have been an on-base requisition put in.
Okay, all right.
So we get no resolution numbers.
I'm sorry?
So we're not going to get any resolution numbers?
No, it sounds like you get the resolution number the very next day.
Well, right
I
now,
want-
you can
right
put
now.
a 01 on this resolution if it passes. It hasn't been passed yet, though, so if this doesn't pass, then the next one would be 01.
What was that, 101? 101 is
Just-
what?
Just the number one. It's the first one of the 2021,
Okay,
2021-01.
all right. I have some pause about proving a change in the temporary appropriations when we've already done it. And the fiscal office has already done Mr. Dressler, have you had any experience in this and what we can do? What we
Well-
legally can do?
I understand, an attempt previously to always number the resolutions. As the township has grown, we have increased that number, not substantially, but it can vary meeting to meeting. But the official resolution then, when it's typed up, it's going to have a number on it, the one we sign. So if it gets changed during the meeting, then you have to reprint it. So the numbers aren't put on there.
If there,
We can track, it has been done, we can track meeting to meeting and keep a running total. And
We can assign the numbers as they're approved, and I can say, if it passes, I'll say that's 2020 dash.
right, so we can do that during the meeting,
That would work.
okay? But
That would work.
so my question then would be to Mr. Schulte and Mr. Dressler, can we vote on a resolution amending the temporary appropriations when one, has already been done by the fiscal office, and two, was already appropriated in 2000, on December 7th, 2020?
no, it wasn't appropriated because it wasn't processed. So
But we voted to do so.
Hey, Scott, I'm sorry. I can't really hear when you're talking, Scott. Can you hold your microphone down, please? And
sorry. Yeah.
Mr. Schulte, do you want to weigh in on this? I don't know.
Well, I mean, the money was appropriated last year, but it wasn't appropriated until it's done in the fiscal office. So then the problem is it's not in the same year.
Right, that's my issue.
So the
Well-
money was not appropriated in the budget. And so it's a New Year's budget. It's
what
2020.
controls when the board votes or when the fiscal officer does it?
Well, that's
my
his question, but
That's my
it's,
question.
the problem is that it was last year and we didn't, so we have to reappropriate it for the new year. We're not re-spending the money. So I guess the resolution could read, we're reappropriating you could make it the same expense that we wanted for last year to this year, write it that way. I
So-
see your for that.
Yeah, when we look at the year-end financial statements, does this money already show as appropriated or not?
No, it'll be in the 2021 financial statement.
It's on.
Because there was going to be a change to last year's based on this resolution. So that change
Right.
was not made, correct?
Correct.
Well,
So
it was.
so
it
the
wasn't
change
made.
wasn't made. That was the concern. Your concern is, Bruce asked, are we doing it again? The change wasn't made last year. So that's why it's coming up today.
Right, but
But
I
we're
guess
not
what I'm saying
twice.
is, what,
Attempted
What-
to do and it wasn't done. So we're doing, it's a do-over. But we're not doing it twice. We're replacing what wasn't done.
Mr. Schulte, what's
Right.
your comment?
my point is that having the fiscal officer actually record the resolution is more administrative. What matters is, when did the trustees vote? And the trustees voted in 2020
Right.
to appropriate this money. So it should be a 2020 appropriation properly reflected on the year-end financials.
Well, we didn't amend it. So the appropriations will have to be amended, correct?
Right,
We
But-
never amended the appropriations
right. To carry this money into
because it
2021
didn't
never
go
amended it.
through.
However, it was amended, but it wasn't amended by the Board of Trustees.
So if the 2020 financial statements are being reopened for any reason, this could be done at that time. So a December 31st blanket certificate could be issued for the ambulance. The appropriations could be amended, but you would have to reopen 2020. So at this point, 2020 has been closed.
No, it hasn't. We haven't closed.
You've issued financial statements. So those financial statements would have to be reopened and this transaction put through the system to have it back in 2020.
Okay, let's do this. Let's wait till we get a legal opinion and some additional research from the fiscal to see if we can, in fact, vote on a temporary appropriation amendment when in fact the fiscal officer has already done that. Is that okay? We can table this motion?
That's fine. I mean, this, we also have already done the 2021 temporary appropriations, and this was not included.
So we would have to
So there would be
redo
a
that.
finding there.
There's going to be an auditor finding on two facts so far. Okay. Is that okay with you, Mr. Schulte? We table this?
It's fine if we table it. If you want to get an expert opinion, whether that is legal or state auditor, it doesn't matter to me. Let's make sure we do it right. I just want to state that my preference is that our year-end 2020 financials properly reflect this 210,000.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. Okay, thank you. Okay, do you have any more, Ms. Piper?
Well, yeah, let's go ahead and, while I'm in the hot seat, let's go ahead and,
We certainly don't want to put you in the hot seat.
oh, come on. Yes, you did.
No, ma'am, I
Okay, I've
don't.
redone. Let's go ahead and talk about resolution 156 and 157.
Okay,
Okay. The original, I don't know if you have it in front of you,
I
did
do.
not have the figures in it.
okay.
And
Do that.
I've prepared 2 new resolutions that have the figures in them. This resolution would not pass. We would be cited from the auditors because it has no figures in it. Here are the.
Okay.
And Jim, I emailed that to you.
Yes, I see it.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Okay, why are there original resolutions not worthy that we voted on December 7th?
And
What
I
is specifically
called the
wrong with those?
auditor- I called the auditor
Mhm.
and questioned these.
Mr. Groot, is that who you talked to?
Huh?
Mr. Groot?
Yeah,
Trevor.
Trevor, yeah.
Okay.
And I believe your legal counsel, you have to talk to him as well.
Mhm.
Regarding doing, all resolution numbers have to have numbers in them. You just can't pass something generic. And this is a generic resolution.
Did you share these resolutions with Mr. Groot?
I just got them done.
No, I'm talking about the ones we did December 7th.
These?
Yeah.
Yes, we went over them. And
And he read these?
we didn't read them. I just asked him, this resolution giving a synopsis of the resolution, and he looked at his audit books and requirements and said, you've got to have numbers in them. You would be cited if you don't. So
did he actually read these the way they're written though?
those new ones?
No, the old ones. He read these?
No,
He did not read the old
No,
ones?
no.
All right, we have a legal opinion along with Mr. Groot's opinion that these original resolutions are accurate.
they have no numbers.
It has to meet, and we do have an email I could bring up. It does have the items needed in a resolution are in this resolution.
Could you send me that email, please?
Sure. Sure.
And I will also send him what we just prepared.
Hey, Bruce, do you care to
Yes.
explain why they are fine so that Linda understands?
I'm sorry.
Would you explain why the resolution originally passed are okay?
Resolutions either have to have one, an actual number, or two, a way to calculate that number. And this, because the Board of Trustees does not have access to the UAN, the accounting system, we can't get the actual numbers. But this does allow the fiscal officer to calculate and put the numbers in, which follows the rules of resolutions as well.
So said another way, the resolution has to specify the amount, or it has to have a formula that can be determined subsequently, right?
That's correct.
Okay, I've got the formula.
Correct. That makes these originals accurate, which the issue here is, again, this was voted on December 7th, which leaves the year-end financials inaccurate. So did that answer your question, sir?
It
Looks like
does.
it's a question.
It does. And I just want to go back to the need to make sure that these resolutions are properly reflected in the year-end financials for all of our financial statement users.
Yeah, the financial statements that we have do not reflect it currently for the end of the year. So we'll have to ask Ms. Pfeiffer and legal if that can be repaired. Okay.
I just want one more comment. I just want to make one more comment on this,
On which one, ma'am?
on both of these resolutions. Number one, I had no idea until the meeting, until you guys, your administrator, announced that this is what she's going to do. I've never done one of these before. There is no communication between the administrative office and the fiscal office. And I just want to say that.
I
I would like to see more communication, more teamwork.
And that's what we're trying to resolve as well, Ms. Pfeiffer. I feel your frustration. However, we've asked you publicly and privately if there's something we can do to assist you to amend or to bring some of these resolutions.
I don't prepare the resolution.
No, I'm sorry. To resolve some of the issues that are coming out of your office. We asked you privately and publicly what the Board of Trustees can do to support you.
We need more communication, more. Your administrator was in my position for several years.
Mhm.
Why isn't that information being shared to fiscal?
Because
Why do I get
if you-
set up?
Pardon?
Why, I mean, I get set up on them. It's like
So, ma'am,
there is no communication. There's no teamwork. We need teamwork. I got a great team up there. We don't know everything.
Okay.
I would hope our administrator
pause the
would
meeting?
share this stuff with us.
What'd you
do
say?
you want to pause the meeting and go into executive session?
Just make a motion, that's up to you.
I apologize for the public that are here with us, but I'm going to make a motion that we go into a short executive session so we can discuss personnel and administration.
I'll second.
Did you hear, Mr.
You need to have a specific reason. What is it?
Personnel issues and administration?
Well, it's gotta be like employment of personnel or discipline of personnel, or has to be a specific reason.
I'm not sure how we're going to get Jim Schulte in that.
To exec session.
We can put them on.
Why don't we wait to the end?
Oh,
All right.
good.
Okay.
Just wait to the end and then we can bring Jim in that way.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll withdraw my
Okay.
motion as well. Ms. Pfeiffer, any more?
Nope, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay. Ms. Marshall?
Thank you. The only request I have this evening is a motion to approve Exhibit A and Exhibit B, which is included in your packet of the credit card policy, granting authorization to specific employees to use the Township MasterCard credit card and the Sam's Club credit cards. This is a follow-up to the amendment that we made to the Township Policy Manual for credit cards, indicating which employees are authorized users on Exhibit A. And then Exhibit B is an acknowledgement of receiving this credit card policy that those users would sign before being allowed to use the credit cards.
I would like to make a comment if I could, please.
Just a minute. So move.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Okay. Janice, I have a credit card. I have a Huntington credit card and I'm not listed on here.
I wasn't aware that you had one, but let's add you on to this list.
It's tied to the Amazon account.
I'm sorry, I don't understand that.
I have a Huntington MasterCard. I'm not listed on your users.
Well, that's fine, but when you said it's tied to the Amazon account, I'm not sure what
Well,
that means.
because it's tied, well, when I set up the police and fire, I also had to put my credit card in there as well. So
Okay.
someone could use it for office supplies.
So your personal credit card is on the Amazon account or one that you got
No,
issued from?
Copley Township.
Okay.
Yeah.
We certainly can add you to the list.
Thank you.
You want to table that until it's added, or do you want us to approve it?
And
Add it? Okay, any other discussion? No. Is that a motion or a resolution or roll call?
I don't
It's
know.
just a motion.
Just a motion. I'll call for the vote.
I vote yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. And lastly, I'd like to request an executive session to discuss benefits of personnel in all the departments.
Okay, I want to take a step back as well before we go on to the Chief Bauer. Last meeting, we discussed the receiving credit cards, and there was going to be amendments to
Yeah,
the,
we're reviewing the policy right now, so we can present it to you. I have Michelle and Janet also.
so you're not
looking
ready
at
to do that this evening?
it. Not
Okay,
ready.
all right, thank you. Okay, Chief Bauer.
Thank you. And good evening to everyone. The first issue I have for the board's consideration is a resolution granting permission to issue a blanket certificate in the amount of $7,686 for the purchase of equipment associated with the purchase of the 2021 Lifeline ambulance that the board had previously approved under Resolution 2020-84. And this is also a request to amend temporary appropriations to allow for the expense. So this is just to explain so the board understands the additional equipment that we need to go along with the new ambulance that we're ordering. Equipment that will help us to mount other equipment in outside compartments and things of that nature.
Also move.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Pfeiffer, recall the roll, please.
Trustee Schulte,
Yes.
trustee Dressler,
Yes.
and trustee Colner.
Yes.
Now that's.
This will be resolution 2021-01.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The only other request that I have for executive session to discuss employment of part-time personnel in the fire department. And if I could, I'd like to update the board on just a couple things and refresh your memory when we approved our ability to have the Attorney General of the state of Ohio engage in collection activities for ambulance bills for people who are not residents of the township. And I sent an email to the board about a week ago, and I wanted to get this out also for public's consumption. If we've not already received it, and Ms. Bucker, did we receive a check yet?
No.
From talking to the Attorney General's office, we do have a check on the way, and it should be one of many coming in the future. That
Well
will
done, Chris.
welcome revenue
Yes.
to the ambulance billing fund. And again, this is only going to affect those who are not residents of the township. As you know, we do not balance bill and township residents for ambulance services. One other thing I'd like to bring to the board's attention, we did finish the year a little bit down from our run number volume from 2019 by about 100 runs. Now, we are in the middle of a changeover from our records management system of last year, the one that we're going to be using moving forward. So there is going to be a delay in the detailed report that the board will receive, not only for December of 2020, but also for the entire year. So if I could just ask for your patience on that, I think you'll be happy with the result. And that's all I have, unless the board has anything for me.
Nothing? Nothing? No, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mitchell. Oh, I'm sorry, Chief Meyer.
Thank you. The only thing I have this evening is you should have received via email copy of the Copley Police Department monthly report for December 2020. We'll look back to 2019. If not, I'll get you a copy tonight. That's it.
Anything for Chief Meyer?
No, sir.
Anything? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mitchell. I almost did. I'm sorry. The line for Chief Meyer was extremely small and I skipped right over it.
With the permission of the board, I do have one request pertaining to our 2021 road program. Every year we participate with the county, Summit County Road Program, and we submit a letter to Mr. Brubaker, the county engineer, with our intent to participate. I apologize for not getting it on the agenda in time, but I do have the letter here. With the board's permission, go ahead and allow me to submit that to Mr. Brubaker with the acknowledgement that the fiscal office will draw directly from Fund 2011 motor vehicle license tax, 2021 gasoline tax, 2031 road and bridge, and 2231 motor vehicle tax. What this is just an acknowledgement that we are intending to participate, and it is a letter telling him so. At the next meeting, I'll have the scope of work for our 2021 road program with the estimates, and I'll do the encumbering at that time. I don't have estimates from his office quite yet, so, but I would like to submit this letter to him to say that we would like to participate.
So you're asking for our permission to sign and send that letter for participation?
The president would sign this letter.
Okay.
And then we would send it off to him, to let him know that we do want to.
So move Schulte.
Second, Colner. Any additional discussion? Okay. I'm sorry. We've got to call for the vote.
Is it a, just a motion?
It's just a motion.
For
Yeah.
Summit County?
Yeah.
Usually they want to.
They will when we
See, when we-
encumber the funds.
When they make the, okay.
Yeah, I'll do resolutions
All
for each individual, and then the request for engineering. I'll have estimates, and then I'll know how much to encumber based on those estimates.
right, I vote yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. The next item for the board is a discussion regarding the mutual aid agreement with Summit County to form a service department response network. This is a mutual aid agreement with following service departments throughout Summit County in case of emergency or disasters, that we would help our neighbors within Summit County if they need our help. And we would also receive help from them. We did, receive any?
Well, the agreement is still in process. We have a draft, which is in your packets, that we received from the county. I know our attorney, David Firestein, has also received that document. I believe it's still in getting approved for different communities, legal counsels. So there is no final document to approve, but we wanted to approach the subject and make sure that we were all on board with providing the mutual aid and receiving it. It really came to be because of the pandemic and the knowledge that service departments are small. And if one department is hit hard, then they'll need some support from the others. So we just kind of wanted to approach the subject today and let you know that that's in the works. And as soon as we have a document, then we'll get it approved as well.
So this is informational and not needing a motion right now. Is that accurate?
Mhm.
And Mr. Mitchell, my question would be, has there not been a mutual aid agreement of this type or any type
No.
previous? Okay.
No, we've had unwritten agreements with fellow service directors from our neighbors. If you need a hand, we'll help you out. But
So this would be a
nothing
good
in
example
writing,
of-
nothing in writing.
This would be a good example of when we had a tornado come through Copley, we could elicit help from Mogador or some other community that was not affected for
Correct.
trees down, block roads and such, correct?
And one additional item is Summit County is hiring snowplow drivers to send to communities that are in need.
Oh,
So they are actually searching for snowplow drivers to be on call so that if a community has an issue or a need, they can send their own snowplow drivers there as well, because they know if one community has to plow snow, they all do.
yes.
And there aren't necessarily extras on board. So they are actually hiring snowplow drivers themselves.
And we submitted a list. I
Yes.
submitted a list to Ms. Marshall of our snowplow equipment and our loader, so that whoever they would send over
Right.
would know,
Someone sends
can
up-
you operate this equipment
Right.
before you get into it.
And it lets the county know that there's a cache of equipment and where it's located. Okay. Well, I know it's worked well in the fire department. I believe the police department has a written mutual aid agreement as well, right, chief? So I'm all in favor of it.
If we have one case of COVID and shuts our department down, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're only a handful of people, so it's well worth to have something in place like this to.
They're allowed and start taking your CDL test, get your class, get out there.
Hey, Bruce, it's Jim. You know, I'm concerned about any kind of financial responsibilities Copley would have on the service department mutual aid. I mean, when we have a fire department, the fire and police have their mutual aid with our corresponding communities that are joining us. And the corresponding communities that are joining us are fiscally sound. When you go countywide, there's going to be some communities that are not fiscally sound. And I'm just want to be cautious and not jump in and basically be supporting other communities with Copley taxpayer money. So I need to think this through, I guess what I'm saying, Mark, and I'm not 100% on board with it at this point.
Yeah, let me answer that because
Yeah.
mutual aid agreements, Mr. Schulte, so they can be done on a case-by-case basis. For an example, if there was a major fire somewhere and a community called for mutual aid to have our fire department respond, the chief can opt out at that time. So depending, and for any number of reasons, he doesn't have to have a reason. The chief doesn't have to have a reason to do that. So if there was a community that was abusing the system, that was taking mutual aid but never giving mutual aid, I suspect that the service director would opt out in helping those. But the only financial obligation is to pay your personnel. So if we take a
So-
snowplow driver in a plow truck and send it to another community in the county, we are paying that person's salary and then any wear and tear or damage to the piece of equipment. But again, if they have the latitude, if they're sending it to a community that does not reciprocate, they certainly don't have to let it happen either.
Okay,
Is
so this county-wide service agreement has a provision in there that would allow us to opt out on a case-by-case basis?
Yes, well, the other, I don't know about this and I haven't read it, but the fire and police one does.
Right.
I don't think this, and maybe David Firestein can shed some light as well. I don't think this agreement is as much us providing the service to other communities. It is us taking part in the county's cache of snowplow drivers to help our community. I'm,
I don't even think we're sending equipment.
no,
We
aren't.
We're not sending equipment.
We're just saying that we would be interested in having a Summit County snowplow team come snowplow our roads if our service department gets hung up with the COVID-19 pandemic
Whatever.
or any other
Yeah,
emergency.
and any other. We're not sending our equipment over our lines. We're sending our people.
Okay,
It's not the equipment that's leaving the township. It's the person. If we have somebody available to go help somebody, that's what this agreement would allow.
again, I have not read this one. However, I would ask that you take notice of other mutual aid agreements and see how well they have worked in the past. They have worked extremely well in our county for fire and police. And here's the example. Copley Township was on Memorial Day many years ago, was the victim of a tornado. Many of our roads were closed and impassable. We couldn't go check on civilians to see if they were okay. We needed as many personnel from other departments with chainsaws and machinery to clear roads so we can get emergency apparatus through. That's the thing. That's what a mutual aid agreement means to me. And I would highly recommend that you currently, if Bath Township said, we need your help, I suspect you would let that go. You would help them. Is that accurate? I would ask that you do it in a legal manner with a mutual aid agreement. I would think you would want that, so you wouldn't have to worry about, is the Township Board of Trustees going to be okay with those actions? I certainly am okay with it, but I can't tell you what my predecessors are going to be.
This was just to bring to your attention so that we could
Right.
discuss the situation. They're forming this network.
Right.
We'll send this off to you so you can read it. David Firestein is also reviewing it also.
Right. Okay.
I just wanted to voice my concerns that I'm not all the way on board yet, Mark, and I understand the mutual aid agreements for fire and police work excellent. We certainly have benefited and we've given benefit. I want to proceed cautiously here.
Thank you.
Did this come up because of the pandemic, Mark? Is that what?
Well, it was being formed by, I believe it came out of City of Talmadge.
I think the city of Talmadge was asking the county, so what if our service department gets inundated with this pandemic? And so the county has created this whole idea. And they are just asking on these biweekly calls, asking communities, do you think you'd be interested in something like this or not? And I was bringing it up so that we can, I said, on the call, I said we would be interested in pursuing it, looking at the agreement and seeing if it's something our trustees would want to join it. So we're bringing it to them.
I think Trustee Comer brings up a good point that at some point we're going to be over the pandemic, right? I see us just as likely using a service like this in unique situations, whether it be natural or man-made disaster, where not just personnel, but maybe there's a special piece of equipment. It's really hard to look across the country and look at any significant events that take police and fire resources that do not, at least to a smaller or much larger degree, involve public works. So when I sit back and think about it, I'm surprised that it hasn't been done yet.
I was surprised. I didn't know there was not one existing already.
Well, we have with neighboring communities, specifically, we have it done with Bath, and one is for our community has an agreement. I don't know that it's restricted. It's the communities have an agreement to help each other.
Well, as you brought this up, Mr. Mitchell, as you brought this up, would you please look into it and then bring it to our attention in written detail? All right, thank you, sir.
You did receive the December monthly report, I believe, by email from me. So that's all I have for the board, unless you have something for me.
I have something for you.
Okay.
I believe we need a or resolution approving a blanket certificate for senior snowplow.
Okay.
Maybe Barb didn't share that with you, but in the temporary appropriations, we did approve, or we did appropriate $25,000 in account number 1,110,360,0932. So she is asking for a blanket certificate for senior snowplow out of that account. It's been appropriated, it's been approved. And she just wants to have it in place because she hears there's a snowstorm coming this weekend.
Also move.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Piper, you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dressler?
Yes.
Trustee Kohler?
Yes.
Trustee Schulte?
Yes.
And that is resolution 2021-002.
Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Mitchell? Mr. Mitchell, do you have anything else for us?
No, sir, I do not.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Klein?
Good evening, everyone. My first request is a motion granting permission to send a letter to Summit County Engineers Office requesting cost estimates to include a sidewalk replacement project as part of their resurfacing project on Cleveland-Massillon Road. This sidewalk replacement would stretch from the middle school here on Cleveland-Massillon Road approximately to Copley Circle. Ms. Marshall and I met with representatives of the Summit County Engineers Office to review ongoing projects and future projects within Copley. As part of that discussion, we reviewed the improvements that they're currently working on Cleveland-Massillon Road, stretching from the southern township border to Ridgewood Road. We previously discussed with the board participating in part of that project. We looked at the rock cut and pedestrian elements all along that corridor. One of those elements discussed was the existing sidewalk that we had mentioned along Cleveland-Massillon Road. With this letter, we are simply requesting that the county engineers include this as part of the estimate. That way we can come back to the board and evaluate this project for consideration and participation.
So move Schulte.
Second, Colner. Any discussion? No discussion? I'll call for the vote.
I'll vote yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you. My next request is to schedule a public hearing on February 23rd of 2021 for a map amendment application. On January 7th, the zoning commission took action to recommend approval of the map amendment at 120 Montrose West, currently the Fairbridge Hotel. That would be within the planned development district to reclassify from highway services to residential medium high density. So we are now requesting the trustees to schedule the public hearing for February 23rd.
So move.
Second.
Any other discussion? What time would you like to do it, sir? Would you like to do it at the beginning of the regular, is that a regular meeting night?
Yeah.
Would you like to do it at the beginning, 6:30? Do we want to start the meeting a half hour earlier? Mr. Schulte, do you have a? Schulte,
We've done both.
Yeah, do you have a preference on when we would start it, sir?
We could do it at 6 if you want.
Yeah, let's do it at 6.
6 is all right with you as well?
Yeah.
Ms. Piper, 6 o'clock?
That's fine.
Okay, we'll do it at 6 o'clock on February 21st, 2021.
23rd.
I'm sorry, 23rd.
Yep.
Call for the vote? Or did we vote on that? We have not. Call for the vote.
I vote yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Thank you.
Continued discussion on water and sewer update. We have a meeting scheduled tomorrow, as I mentioned previously, with Summit County Department of Sanitary Sewer Services to discuss their participation in sewer expansion in Copley. So this will be kind of the first introductory meeting. So we'll update the board as soon as that meeting concludes. Environmental Design Group has submitted the revised water and sewer maps for the priority projects that we mentioned at the December 9th special meeting with them. So I will review those, make sure that our comments were included, and just send the board some updates this week with those maps. I'll probably send them in separate emails. So those have been updated as well. And lastly, I believe Mr. Firestein is finishing or wrapping up the agreement with the Audubon property, so we can hopefully get that before the board for execution, and also with the property owner to continue to move forward with the Sunset Drive improvements as part of that. So that's my update on water and sewer. If there's any questions.
I do like to update the board. I sent Mr. Klein an email several days ago, and carbon copy the other board members is in as well, asking some questions about getting the sewer moving, which might be able to use that information in tomorrow's meeting. That's why I was hoping to discuss it tonight. So in that email, Mr. Klein mentioned that our target area, which is basically sewer from 21 to Jacoby Road and around the circle, which would include Sunset and the schools, we'll give them a place to tie in, was about $4.2 million on a high estimate. So based on that, I would be a proponent to spend a portion or a large portion of the JED funds that we have, which is just over 1.7 million, and then take debt service on the remainder, just over 3 million. No, I'm sorry, under just over 2 million debt service to put the pipe in the ground if the county will service the pipe, and if the county and or Akron will serve with revenue so we can be repaid for the placement of that infrastructure. So that's where that email was going. I asked a number of questions. Mr. Loudon said he answered most of them. There are some questions out there that had to be discussed with the servicing agent, whether it be Akron or the county. I would like to get the other board members' feel for if that is viable. Would they be, in fact, on board with us funding the project and then recouping project costs through revenue sharing in some manner? And that could be through monthly sewer bills. It could be any other agency participating in that cost. It could be the other agencies paying for all of it. We don't know that, but I would like our team that's negotiating this to have our backing if they, knowing we could spend the money to put that infrastructure in.
Absolutely.
Bruce, go ahead, Scott.
Scott didn't say anything. That was Loudon chiming in.
Okay, I'll chime in, Bruce. This is Schulte. Yes, I'm in favor of getting the pipe in the ground and committing our all or a substantial portion of the $1.7 million sewer fund to help make that happen and float debt for the rest. However, I am not in favor of any of our current cash flows that the township has being used to service that debt. In other words, there needs to be incremental cash flow that comes from a revised split in the JED agreement, a fee that's passed to end users. Something has to happen. We cannot commit township funds to pay for that extra $2.5 million debt service that will cripple us for the next 15 years.
And I'll double down on that as well. That's what I'm looking for. Some revenue stream that would come that would service the debt load or make the payments on our debt load. That's what I'm looking for. Is that reiterating what you're saying?
Yes, sir. I think it makes sense for us to get it in the ground, for us to front the money. I just want the cash flow to service the debt load to be an incremental cash flow to the township, not from any existing funds.
Mr. Dresser, you have any comments about it?
Yeah, I just think that, we continue to receive JED funds as a revenue sharing from the city of Akron. I think we should consider using some of those funds. That is revenue shared from the JED. The taxes that are JED that they're paying
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that either. Do you have, does that fit your needs as well, Mr. Choli?
No, it doesn't. Remember that the 1/3 of 0.5% of the revenue split we get from the current JED funds comes in, it's put in a capital improvement fund in the township, not in a sewer fund. And those capital improvements could be anything from pathways and trails to sanitary sewer or water services for residential districts. And I don't think it's fair to commit that 1/3 of 0.5% solely to this one project for the next 15 years.
Okay, so if we take a broad look at this, are we all in
I'd
agreement?
say if we look at, take all of it, but it is revenue sharing from the JED. That's any other source of money you're considering is also related to fees for sewer and so forth. This is also directly related to revenue from the JED. I think we should consider some portion of it.
Well, that's a detail, and so let me step back. Let's do the broad scope here. Are we all in favor of using a portion or all of the $1.7 million fund that we have for sewers as a down payment on servicing the debt of the $4.2 million estimated cost for the infrastructure? Let's
Yes.
start there.
Yes.
Yes, I am too. Secondly, are we all in favor in negotiating with the servicing body or servicing community to share in the revenue that would pay for the debt repayment?
Yes.
Yes, I am too. How about Mr. Schulte? Are you okay with that? Revenue share?
Yes, I am in favor of negotiating so we can have an incremental cash flow to service the bond. Yes.
Okay. I'm suggesting that we leave it right there and give our negotiating team that information as it stands. Details on what revenue shares are, let them come back to us with their ideas after discussing it with the city and the county. Is that okay?
Bruce, if it's okay, I'd like to add one other thing.
Go ahead.
I don't think that the debt service should be on any bond that we would put out there should come from any incremental taxes on our taxpayers.
Okay, but so that's not my question. My question is,
Right.
now are we okay
I'm
with?
adding a third caveat or a third goalpost, if you will.
So we're looking at what I'm saying. Are we in favor of servicing the debt with some type of revenue share with the servicing agent? That's my question.
Yes, sir.
That's
fine.
okay. So let's leave it there, Mr. Klein. And Mr. Firestein, you're in that meeting as well, correct? He's muted. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, absolutely. I totally get that direction. You know, we can split these projects right now. I think we're looking at it 4 projects. We can split this down to 6 projects. And we can continue. I mean, my plan, regardless, is to continue to evaluate with the servicing agencies opportunities to get revenue sharing, some ability to finance the debt on an ongoing basis. So these projects take obviously, you know, months to design, months to install and evaluate. And so what, you know, this will be parallel tracks of designing and looking at sewer to install while also working on the financial side of things to figure out how to pay this debt service. So we'll work on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Firestein's involved.
Okay. Anything else from Mr. Klein?
I just had one more item, which was the monthly report for 2020. I'm sorry, I have one more slide on that.
Yeah.
Kind of goes with the monthly report. Just wanted to update. We try and update the projects that are going on in the township. A lot of the projects that we have spoken about in previous meetings are ongoing. I'm sure everyone's seen the construction that's going on and taking place. There's a couple new items. Firehouse Tavern will be a new location at 1442 South Cleveland Maslin Road, just north of Town Hall here. Nothing But Cakes will have a new location up in Montrose Center at the corner of 18 and Cleveland Maslin. Beyond Juicery and Eatery is a new location up at Heritage Center Drive. And then Bella Decor will also be in the Montrose Center. It is a consignment furniture store. Sorry, couldn't think of the name. But those are just some new mid-scale. That's what's moved here in the last couple months. The monthly report for December, I sent out to the board just before the meeting. Processed 17 permits in December. Total valuation for our December improvements were 1.98 million. That was our 5th highest month of the year. So pretty good considering the holidays and the weather as well. 208 permits processed in 2020 versus 209 in 2019. Again, I've said this at all the meetings. I think that's pretty good considering the circumstances in the pandemic. Total valuation of improvements, 24 million for 2020 versus 17 million in 2019. So another good, strong year of investment in the township. So that's all I have.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, any old business?
Just one item. At the last meeting, I was asked to look at water coolers and where we get our water from. And we did look at Davis Water, who is a Copley business. They do provide the same service. They have reverse osmosis water, which is different than what we get from Aquaclear. But their charge is $7.75 per bottle with a $7 bottle deposit. We are currently paying $5.85 per bottle with a $7.50 water cooler rental. So the cost is more, and it is for reverse osmosis water. So I just wanted to provide that information back to the board.
I mentioned that because I was a proponent to buy within Copley
Sure.
borders if possible. If I don't know the difference in osmosis water, reverse osmosis water versus what we receive now. Is it worth?
Was it distilled right
I don't know.
now? Oh,
It's not reverse osmosis.
I think Flint, Michigan did reverse osmosis, did they?
What just, Mr. Schulte? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's just as well.
Oh,
I'm gonna go look at the bottle right here.
I'm sure it has a.
what would did you calculate what the annual cost difference would be roughly?
No, I did not. So it's about $1.90 more per bottle for the reverse osmosis water from Davis. The cooler rental with Davis is $12.95 per month. We are currently paying $7.50 per month. So I did not calculate an annual amount.
Aquaclear premium bottled water. So I don't know if it's like distilled or it's distilled water, or it doesn't say spring water, so we can check into that.
I would be the proponent, just leave it up to you, Ms. Marshall, to decide what you want to do.
Well,
Again,
it's a good exercise to check your vendors all the time anyway. So we'll keep an eye on it. And if it comes down or we have a better comparison, we can change. But we certainly do want to support Copley businesses. So it's a good idea to keep looking.
Thank you. Any other old business?
Bruce, I have one thing. I asked Dave Firesign to interpret how much we can put into these capital funds. And I know the resolution from December that we talked about to fund these capital funds for police and fire were based on 1/6 the prior year expenses. But as Dave was researching this, we can actually fund the rest of these balances. And so I guess, I don't know if it's just good to the order, I would like to actually fund the rest of these balances to fully fund the capital reserves for police and fire. I don't know what those amounts are right now, but we certainly can have them calculated for the next meeting. I just kind of want to take the temperature of my fellow board members to see if that's what they want to do as well.
Well, speaking for myself, I would like to also, but I would like the department heads to weigh in and see. I think that would be a discussion that we would have during the permanent appropriations meeting. That's only 60 days away, or roughly 60 days away. Did you want, Ms. Marshall, have any suggestions there?
Well, if we're going to reopen depending on how this gets handled, if we reopen the 2020 financial statements to get these resolutions put in place, those resolutions do specify 1/6 of the previous year's expenses. So I would suggest that we go along with that resolution at this point, but if we want to make more contributions, we certainly can. In 2020, I would recommend getting some final numbers from fiscal so that we have a good number to go forward with for permanent appropriations, and it would be a good time at that point to increase the funding if that's the wish of the board.
Do you have
It
any
certainly would be my desire to fully fund the capital accounts.
Chief Bauer, Chief Meyer, comments? Or just requesting?
Yeah.
You already did.
Yeah, I'm saying, that's what I'm saying too.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are let the departments, I'm sorry, what are your,
I just want to hear their
go ahead.
thoughts.
I spoke for you, but you can certainly amend that.
In principle, I like the idea. The devil's in the details. In this case, the devil's in the numbers. I would like to allow some flexibilities. So if we could have some time to work up the revised capital expenditures for whatever date the board would like to have those.
Okay. Chief Meyer?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear them, Mr. Schulte?
No, I did not. I'm sorry.
Okay, they stated that they would like to have some time to get the numbers from fiscal and go over their budgets prior to committing to that, which I would parrot as well. Would it be just as advantageous to do this in the permanent appropriations meeting that we generally have in March?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think it's possible for us to go back and amend 2020 to fully fund them. So we should, I'm just suggesting that we handle it here in the first quarter of 2021. And my goal is to fully fund again, so that any users of our financial statements understand that our carryover balances are spoken for in terms of future capital purchases.
Understood. Yeah, we have had numerous discussions about that. They have some capital expenditures coming up, police cars, ambulances and such, then we need to get that. We need to earmark funds for those purchases in the future. I'm all for that as well. Okay. Any other old business? All right, hearing none, any new business? Ms. Marshall, do you have some?
No.
Okay. All right. How about correspondence? Any correspondence? Okay, business from the floor. Ms. Ahern, you're the only one here from the floor right now.
You have the floor. The whole thing.
Okay, if you're going to, would you please come to the mic?
We
Please.
never have, for the recording now.
Yeah, it has to be, Ms. Ahern, so everybody else that's
Oh.
listening in can hear.
Wow.
Would you please state your name and address, please?
A lot of pressure now.
3312 Runner Road.
Thank you.
I just have one question about the incident last night on the Hill. There's lots of speculation going on about it, people throwing out rumors and all that stuff. Is there any further update on that?
We did a press release this afternoon. All the media has, it's all online now. We got some information. Two groups of people dining at the Saudi restaurant.
Oh,
Got into an argument and had a shootout in the parking lot of each other.
nice.
And then they went back to Akron, presumably continued our. So the problem is with social media, all our officers are still on the scene and trying to collect evidence, trying to determine exactly what took place. People sitting in their homes, they had nothing better to do, shouldn't go watching the national championship football game, decided to start texting each other, trying to figure out what was going on. And at that time, with the information that we had, what was unfolding, didn't tell social media person here to go out and just put a message out. An incident occurred, everything was over at this point in time. People could stay in their homes, just call if they saw anything suspicious. Because at that point in time, the danger was completely over. It had been over for 2 hours. And that's the problem with social media. Very good at getting information out. It's also hindrance when people are trying to second guess what's going on while we have other things to do. We did do a press release this afternoon. I had people texting me during this meeting, and saw that press release, and now it's been on, I think, 3/5/8/19, in Beacon Journal, so that information is out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will also, do you have anything else for us?
No.
Thank you. I will also mention to the public, social media is a great tool and has been used wisely by many. It's been used unwisely by many as well. So please, to the public, be careful with it. You could be hindering an emergency operation. So. All right. Any other business from the floor? Nothing. All right. So I'll make a motion that we move to executive session to discuss benefits of personnel in all departments, discuss part-time personnel in the fire department, and to discuss personnel in administration. We need a
Second.
Ms. Piper, you call the roll, please.
Trustee Dressler?
Yes.
Trustee Connor?
Yes.
Trustee Schulte?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll take a quick adjournment and reconvene. In a few minutes. Recess. I apologize. Thank you, sir.
It's okay.
Quick recess and
I've
we'll
made a mistake.
get started.
Because Loudon was gonna be out in his car in about 30 seconds and gone. He was like smiled. He's like, oh darn.